Venezuela is currently facing one of the most devastating natural disasters in its recent history, as powerful earthquakes continue to leave a trail of destruction and despair across the country. It has now been 3 days since two massive earthquakes, measuring 7.2 and 7.5 in magnitude, struck different parts of the nation, shaking entire cities and sending buildings collapsing into clouds of dust and debris. What began as sudden violent tremors has now turned into a national tragedy of immense scale, with entire communities left in ruins and thousands of families searching for loved ones trapped beneath the rubble. According to official reports, the death toll has risen sharply to around 920 people, and authorities warn that the number could still increase as rescue operations continue. More than 51,000 people remain unaccounted for, raising fears that many may still be trapped under collapsed structures or isolated in severely damaged areas. Across the hardest-hit regions, scenes of destruction are overwhelming. Residential buildings, roads, and public infrastructure have been severely damaged, making access difficult for rescue teams trying to reach survivors. Entire neighborhoods have been reduced to debris fields, where silence is frequently broken only by the sounds of rescue workers calling out for any sign of life. Emergency teams, supported by local volunteers, continue to work around the clock. Using heavy machinery, sniffer dogs, and bare hands in some cases, they are racing against time in hopes of finding survivors still alive under the rubble. However, as hours turn into days, hope is gradually fading for many families waiting anxiously beside collapsed buildings. Authorities have since taken strict measures to manage the crisis. Access to the heavily affected La Guaira region, believed to be one of the epicenters of the disaster, has been restricted. Officials say the decision was necessary to reduce traffic congestion and allow rescue operations to proceed more effectively. Only authorized personnel are now permitted to enter the zone. In a national address, Acting President Delcy Rodriguez stated that the government is mobilizing all available resources to respond to the disaster. She confirmed that emergency supplies, including clean water, food, and medical assistance, are being distributed to affected communities. She also acknowledged that the scale of destruction is overwhelming and called for urgent international assistance. Venezuela has officially appealed for support from the global community, requesting additional rescue teams, medical aid, and humanitarian relief to help manage the growing crisis. Meanwhile, the United Nations has reported that nearly 7 million people across the country have been affected in one way or another. This includes those displaced from their homes, families without access to basic services, and communities cut off from essential supplies due to damaged infrastructure. Hospitals in affected regions are reportedly struggling to cope with the influx of injured victims, while temporary shelters are being set up to accommodate those who have lost their homes. Power outages and water shortages continue to worsen the humanitarian situation. As night falls over the devastated areas, survivors gather in open spaces, afraid to return to unstable buildings amid fears of aftershocks. The psychological toll of the disaster is becoming increasingly visible, especially among children and families who witnessed the destruction firsthand. The earthquakes have not only reshaped the physical landscape of Venezuela, but have also left deep emotional scars across the nation. Rescue workers describe the situation as one of the most challenging missions they have ever faced. With the death toll still rising and thousands missing, the full extent of the disaster is yet to be understood. What is clear, however, is that Venezuela now stands in the middle of a national emergency that will require long-term recovery efforts and global solidarity. For now, the country remains in mourning, holding on to hope in the midst of destruction, as rescuers continue their desperate search for life beneath the rubble. Subscribe to Docnation TV for more updates around the world.